So I'm going back to doing some gang stalking information videos. I haven't been feeling well and I've been going to doctors. You know, Unfortunately, the people doing this already know some of my diagnoses, but I don't want to discuss it yet. I will eventually. But I would like to start this video off by explaining a different part of how this audio works. It goes based on your hearing level. So how you hear is determined by not only you being you as a unique person, but also based on your age. So as we age, our hearing changes naturally, but also this process of heating us and hitting us with things will change our hearing. So sometimes it makes you hear different tones at different levels and different. So what I mean, like, not just volume, how loud, like when you think of a TV, how loud the television is, but you know how sometimes someone speaks with a really deep voice on television and you hear it in a different way than someone who speaks with a higher, louder voice. Not, excuse me, not louder, higher sound. So like if I speak like this, you'll hear it differently than if I speak like this. So when this first started with me, they were really upset about how my voice would sometimes change. And what I said to them was, because I was yelling at them and they're yelling at me, what I said to them was my voice would change based on if I have a cold, if I have, if it's early in the morning. And I wondered what was the big deal with that. So I now realize it changed. They wanted to make it seem like I'm the only person experiencing this. I'm doing something wrong, but also they wanted to clone my voice. So if my voice isn't consistent, it's hard to clone. But part of what that does would be, they said they're going to make it so that they can turn this around on me, so that they'll pretend that I'm playing my own sounds in the background of my videos, because they said that would make it seem like I'm trying to get attention. Well, listen, again, I'm 49 now, thankfully, and they kept saying that I should have been dead when I was in my early 40s, and they wanted me to die when I was like 47 or 48, because that's the same time certain celebrities die. I'm glad I made it to 49. But what I'm telling you folks is that as I'm going through this process, it doesn't matter to me if people laugh, make fun of me, ridicule me. They said we're going to out you as humping a pillow. Wait, let me get this right. Humping a pillow while listening to a video of a Swedish woman predicting your love life. Okay, whatever. Again, you know how boring that is, but again, if that makes them happy, that makes them happy. So anyway, so getting back to the process of how this works and how this was designed to create just mass chaos. If I'm out with someone and that person's hearing level isn't the same as mine, and that person may not hear the same tones, they could hear something, they may or may not, but if I hear it, then it's harder for me to prove that it's going on. If I record it and then that person can hear it, then that person realizes, oh, something is going on. But imagine what that does when you are in a public place, other people are around, and your hearing is so sensitive because of being heated, and the heat causes pressure in your head. So it causes it's hard to kind of put all this together, but it causes pressure in your head, making you more sensitive to sound. It's like having, and I think I discussed this in a video, it's like having a headache, and your hearing gets so sensitive. But then add to that tone. So it's volume, it's tone, it's sensitivity on your part. And then the people using this system put their cell phones near your head. So that also means you are able to hear it more. Now, I was tweeting, and I was talking to my mom a moment ago, but I tweeted in the past that they do hold their phones near your head. I believe it must be in the back of your head. I don't believe it's the side. I believe it's the back. and I become sensitive to people holding their phones near my head. But I also realize that I cannot be like ultra sensitive because people will put their phones near you because everyone has their phones out. But I was on the bus today and a woman stood instead of in the, the double New York City seats. She stood up while her friend sat, and she was there for a while, and she was near the top of my head on my right side. I don't believe that's the location. But as soon as I looked at her, like, why are you standing right there? She sat down. So I think it's suspicious. I think people are trying to figure out exactly how it works, but I believe it's the back of your head. So I'm going to title this video, "Be careful of people using their cell phones near the back of your head." So that's another part of this. The last part that I want to discuss is, and I'll just review it once before I go into crafting. The last part of this I would like to discuss is why it's important to keep exposing this. It's important to keep exposing this because the last part of their plan is to discredit people. And if I'm not coming forward with these things, they'll continue to discredit me. So I've been going on Twitter, and my Twitter is, I started with @FashionFunFemme, FashionFunFemme, and I was doing for politics. Then I went to my name, Shamega Johnson, which is in the title of every video, so you know how to spell that. Then I went to Java Productions to discuss this. So what they said is that they would keep exposing any lie that I've ever told. So I said, go ahead, who cares? So what I've done now is expose their lies, and their lies are so abundant. There's an abundance of lies on their behalf that I spent too much time just tweeting their lies. But by doing that, I've been able to prove and document roughly what lies that they thought they would hold against me. So so just going through that, we got the way this audio works with how we hear things. We have protecting the back of your head. We have why they would want me to hear them and what they want to kind of hold over against me, but why I must expose it. But then I just want to end with this bonus, and I'll probably do another video. The bonus that I'm going to end on before we do really a quick craft is that the next way they wanted to cover this up, and that's what this really is. It's a cover up. So I think the people that are being victimized are people who they wanted to discredit to cover up what we know. In my case, they told me after the fact, so I didn't know it at the time, which to me doesn't make sense, but I think it was their way of trying to discredit me. So if I'm moving on with my life and living my life, then they couldn't discredit me. They needed to suck me into this scheme, and so then they could say, oh, we're going to discredit her. So it's a cover-up, and it's always a cover-up that gets people in trouble. If they had just let me live my life, none of this would have been an issue. But the last part of that is that they are trying to make this seem like if they predict what I'm doing before I do it or give me suggestions, then it's a positive. Actually, that's a negative, because if I am in the process of doing something and you automatically interrupt what I'm doing, you're making me lose focus on what I'm doing. Can you imagine I'm working at a job and suddenly I hear them talking like, why don't you do such and such? That is distracting me. So that's what I'm saying. This talking is not only, it's a distraction. The sounds and the hitting us and heating us is the main attraction. Why is that so? Because the talking distracts from what I'm feeling, what I'm thinking. So they say it's mind control. It is not mind control. It's mass distraction. It's some sort of mass chaos. It's chaos. So when you have people starting chaos, wanting us to fight, setting us up, talking to us, heating us up, hitting us with lasers, having people follow you. It's causing mass chaos. And that's the point. I understand some people may want to focus on one element, but I'm trying to hopefully give you folks all the elements in one video. So I'm talking about the heating us up. I'm talking about hitting us with the lasers. I'm talking about the talking and why it's being done. If I think of something else, I will let you know. As you can tell, I don't write this out. They have scripts. I don't. I'm a regular person. I don't sit and write scripts for you guys. So, and in doing it this way, I'm telling you folks as I get the information, as I know. The last thing before crafting, I keep saying one more thing. I'm like Columbo. One more thing is that they say, well, why didn't you come forward with this immediately? Well, immediately, I didn't realize it. I couldn't prove it. It's overwhelming when you're being hit with something, heating you up. All of this is going on. It's overwhelming. And a regular human person who's never been through all this in this way, and they like to say, well, you had some elements before. Again, these people operate in phases, and each phase goes increases. So like, they're not people who you would say, well, they'll stop at one thing. No, they keep increasing each stage of this. So each phase is going to be worse than the one before. So by the time you realize what's happening, most people go through so much trauma. And that's another thing. When I say chaos, I'm talking about traumatic things. Losing your home, losing your job, losing your family, losing your friends. It's so traumatic that by the time people realize it's happening, it's so far gone. And one of the most beautiful things that has happened is, people realize it. And so what they would do in the past, like I just said, has happened. They would say, well, that's not what you would say. Listen, and part of what they're doing is they cause such trauma that you become too self-conscious. You become too, I said it before in a different video. It's like gaslight. You start to second guess yourself. So when you're going through these different phases, it's hard to come forward because you've been in a traumatic situation, not just physically, but emotionally and mentally. So that's the biggest thing to explain why I didn't come forward right away. It's traumatic. It's a traumatic situation. So I think that covers a lot. You can leave questions. Now I answer the questions and comments in the video section. If the stalkers come forward, good. That's just more proof that they're there. But if you want, you can also contact me on Twitter. Okay, so let me do a really, really fast craft. So I always talk to you about cans, and you can take just a regular can. But this is a small can that I got, I think, from some sort of fish thing. And you can see how all I did was use a marker. And I tried to paint it, but the paint wasn't coming out the way I wanted it to. See, this is a can that I painted, and you see how it gives it that, like, it was just gold like this, but you see how just painting it with this type of green paint gave it that look of being, less shiny and kind of dull and like it's been worn a bit. So I tried doing it with this, but this kind of thing didn't look as good. So what I did was just took a black marker, and you can see how it gives it that look. If you want, you can keep going over it with the marker, but I kind of wanted to leave it like this because it gives it a little bit more. You see, it looks like it's blue and black. It's just all black marker. So just black permanent marker. The next part of that, for the opening, I took some cardboard, and you can see I just cut it out and hot glued it underneath and then put this on top. This comes from a tissue box from the dollar store. So a tissue box from the dollar store, just put this underneath so that, I guess you can put it up like that too, so that it's visible. But just to show you, it's just a can, and you can use it as a stand. So it's a can stand. Wait, a can stand, I guess, yeah. And you see how that looks. So guys, if you have a question, please leave a comment. I will continue to do these videos. They said that this was supposed to be an attempt to silence me, which makes me want to talk more. But they've been violating my, civil rights. I'm Black, clearly, and I'm female, clearly, and I'm 49, clearly. So there are a lot of civil rights violations in this process, and they're upset that I don't think I should be sacrificed for any reason. I don't. And that's part of my problem with these people, that they think that I am worth less, so I am worthless. No, I'm not. I'm not. I'm not worthless. I'm not worth less than anyone. So they also thought that, well, maybe I would make this about everyone. No, I'm making it about me. I have worth, and I am not worthless. So thanks for watching. Please subscribe and leave a comment.